I want there to be a world without hatred. Because where everyone accepts each other for who they are and what they are, no matter what their flaws might be. Flaws aren't actually disadvantages, you can actually use them to your advantage. I might have Asperger's, but why should that be a bad thing? Why should that disadvantage me in any way? I can use that. I have a very... what's the word? Complex and heightened sense of emotions and feelings, and I can use that. I can use that in art, I can use that with relationships. Sure, it might be difficult with social situations, but I can just learn like the rest of you. Just because it doesn't come naturally doesn't mean that is a disadvantage.
I'm more likely to be able to communicate effectively to get what I want and what the other person wants. And yes, I might have struggles with food, but this obviously shows I'm not scared anymore. We can overcome our problems. You might have a problem for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years. That doesn't mean you'll always have a problem.
But I need to create a barrier for myself between illness and health. I'm not going to cross that barrier.
Yeah, I just want people to be accepted for what they are and not feel like they can't be who they are, or that they don't know what they should be and who they are because it's not the same as what other people are. Just because you enjoy lying in bed by yourself, maybe on social media but not actually speaking face to face with somebody, doesn't mean that's a bad thing, and doesn't mean that you should feel that you're excluding yourself from opportunities. If you are happy in that moment, no one has a right to tell you that you can't be happy by yourself. Nobody can say you should be putting yourself out there when you don't get happiness from that. Primarily what should come first is your own happiness, and so long as that doesn't get in the way of anybody else's happiness, then there's no problem. And just because you choose a pathway, say whether it's maths or science or, I don't know, you might just be working in a supermarket. If that makes you happy, then stick with it. If it doesn't make you happy, then there's other things out there. That's not the end. People might tell you have to put your all into something and try your hardest. You don't have to. If trying your hardest, if revising and working your butt off doesn't get you to where you want to be, then don't do it. I never revised for any of my exams, and I'm where I want to be now. I got 1 A level, that'd be great, so, I mean, it's not too bad, but 1 A level. There's people who had 4 A levels in my school. But that's not what I want. I don't want lots of money and professional success. I want love and kindness and for people's voices to be heard, not just shut away because they feel like what they're saying doesn't matter. What you feel matters more than anything. Unless your feelings don't matter to yourself, in which case your feelings don't matter. But no one has a right to tell you that. You have a right to feel what you feel for whatever reasons you feel it, and you have a right to express it. But if you're not happy, that's where I want to get in there and try to make society make you happy, because if nobody is making an effort to make you happy by yourself, that's a really difficult thing to do. You have to learn to love yourself and learn what happiness feels like, which I've definitely found difficult in the past, mostly because I push people away who are trying to make me happy, because you can get quite addicted to unhappiness and quite addicted to loneliness. But yeah, you need people to help you out of that, whether it's professionals or friends or family or just strangers on the internet. You can do it however you want, but I just don't want people to suffer. I don't want to lose any more people. I feel like anorexia, depression, anxiety, bipolar, there's just so many harmful illnesses out there that just don't get recognised for how serious they are. And the NHS is a brilliant service, but it's just not enough. It just breaks my heart that I get the help that I need. And sure, it might have taken a long time, but I've got the help that I need and I'm where I need to be, and I'm happy with that. Some people don't get that. Some people get a little bit of help and then they're given up on, not by their friends or family, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, they're given up on by society and by society's values and by waiting lists, and it's just a shame that there was nothing there in between. I mean, I don't know exactly what should be there, I just know that people should be there. if you see a stranger on the street crying, go up to them, ask them if there's anything you can do. I mean, I've been crying on the street before, sat on a bench, bawling my eyes out, and nobody said a thing. In the end, I asked somebody to borrow their phone and called the police because I'd had my phone stolen. But if somebody had sat down and asked me why I was crying, I probably wouldn't have been so scared. I felt so lonely. But I mean, I've cried in public transport as well, and nobody said a word to me. And I just think that's what's heartbreaking, is that people can see the pain in other people, and they don't even acknowledge it. I mean, there's people who don't express how they're feeling. They could be sitting on a bus and feeling like they just want to die, but they could have a smile on their face. And so it's just, even if somebody's expressing something, it can still be ignored. So like, if somebody's crying, or someone's self-harming, or somebody's not eating, or is eating too much and making themselves sick, that shouldn't be ignored. But society just does ignore it, like homelessness, or I don't know, just sexism. And I mean, I know I've posted stuff on the porn industry recently, because that affects a lot of people too. Like, that can create mental health problems, and yet nobody talks about these things. They just, when I say nobody, I mean the people who aren't suffering from these problems, they just pretend it doesn't exist. If you're happy and you see somebody sad, you don't stay happy, you empathise with them. This might just be my Asperger's, but I just can't understand how people can just see this world around them and not want to make any changes.